guys, John V from Phone Arena here. You're watching our video comparison between the HTC One M8 and the Samsung Galaxy Note 3. The HTC One M8 has proven to us that it is an all-around smartphone that can tangle with some of the greats out there. It has a stylish design, simple, straightforward UI, but the Note 3 is one beast of a phone, not only for its size, but all the features that it packs. Despite the subtle amount of sophistication that we see now out of the Note 3's design, it still can't match the overpowering and more stylish looks of the HTC One M8. The brushed aluminum unibody design of the HTC One M8 just screams an elegant nature to the handset. It sports a cleaner finish and of course a sturdier build quality. The Note 3, on the other hand, doesn't have as much of a profound design in comparison to its rival. You have the pattern stitch design around the casing here, which is a nice touch, but for the most part, it's still pretty conventional looking. It actually feels more natural and comfortable to hold the HTC One M8 just because you have that arc design with its casing, so it's a little bit more ergonomic than the flatter design of the Note 3. HTC improved the screen in its phone by making it larger than last year's model, so it now features a 5-inch 1080p Super LCD 3 display with Gorilla Glass 3. However, it still can't compete in the size department against the Note 3 because it packs along a larger size 5.7-inch 1080p Super AMOLED display with Gorilla Glass 3. Details aren't a problem here just because they have really high pixel density figures, despite the fact that the HTC One M8 has a higher one due to its smaller size display and its 1080p resolution. Of course, there are several appealing elements about their respective displays. With the HTC One M8, it really stands out for its more natural color reproduction. It's a little bit more accurate. Its strong brightness output outdoors, so it's still visible in direct sunlight. Well, the Note 3's Super AMOLED display really stands out most for its saturated color reproduction, so it gets some vibrant, very iridescent looking colors. You can get also the superior viewing angles, but outdoor visibility isn't as great. Overall, it's really tough to choose which of the two displays we like more. You get, again, that saturated and that iridescent glow with the Note 3's display, but the HTC One M8's display is equally superior too, just because you have more natural, accurate looking colors, and it's better with outdoor visibility. They have a lot of commonalities, so if we look around the trim, they have IR blasters, which turns them to universal remotes. You have the 3.5mm headset jacks, there are various microphones. You have your micro USB ports at the bottom for charging data connectivity and also video out, but it's a micro USB 2.0 port in the HTC One M8, and you have a micro USB 3.0 port in the Note 3. We don't find one handset to offer the better or more responsive physical controls. That includes the volume controls and their dedicated power buttons. Both are pretty much equal in terms of feel and responses. It's worth mentioning that there's memory expansion via their micro SD card slots, but we like the Note 3's slot better just because it's a lot easier to access. You just remove the rear casing, whereas with the HTC One M8, we gotta use that pinhole adapter to remove it. One feature that's unique to the HTC One M8 is that it features dual front-firing speakers with HTC boom sound, so they're actually emitting audio towards us. As for the Note 3, it has the unique feature of being able to interact with the S Pen. You could use it to draw stuff, jot stuff down. It's pressure sensitive, so it knows how hard we're pressing it down against the display. And it can be even used to hover over different things. You could see how the display knows that it's on top of the display, so it could actually do a variety of different functions, like for example, the Air View functionality here that you're seeing right now. What we have here are two different customized Android experiences. With the HTC One M8, you have Sense 6.0, and with the Note 3, you have the Samsung's TouchWiz Nature UX experience. We like Sense 6.0 for its cleaner, more modern looks. It has the better overall presentation value. It's more simple, straightforward, easier to operate. And on top of that, we find the various motion launch gestures that it has to be very useful. So you can do things like unlock the phone. You could also even jump straight to the HTC Blink Beat or even run the camera application very quickly. There's more productivity value with the TouchWiz Nature UX experience. That's because of the various functions you get with the S Pen. So you can use it to draw stuff, jot down some notes, and you can use it to even interact with the phone. There's just a host of different features, especially multitasking. You can launch two different applications simultaneously on top of one another, which is something we don't get quite with the HTC One M8's experience. But the overall presentation value, it's a little bit more cartoony looking. Alright, we know that the HTC One M8 has the newer processor, a quad-core 2.3 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 CPU with 2 GB of RAM, the most cutting-edge thing out there, but don't count out the Note 3 because it isn't a slouch either, despite the fact that it's using the last generation processor, a quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 processor clocked in 2.3 GHz with 3 GB of RAM. Honestly, the two handle pretty much the same operations in the same responsive manner, though when it comes to the home screen, Sense 6.0 just has a more snappy feel than TouchWiz. It's superb surfing the web with either device just because they feature fast 4G LTE connectivity, so pages load up very quickly. On top of that, you could tell that their navigational controls are pretty much identical to one another, very smooth and buttery with their navigational controls, so kinetic scrolling and pinch zooming are identical. But we're going to get the slight advantage to the Note 3 just because of the larger size display. It makes it a little bit more ideal. On top of that, you have some other secondary functions here like the Air View functionality that allows us to zoom a little bit. We appreciate the dynamic approach of the Sense 6.0 music player in contrast to the TouchWiz music player. There's just more of an animated look with the visualizer option on and of course those lyrics being displayed. As far as the audio quality, you'd be surprised. They're both pretty much on par to one another despite the fact that there's only a single speaker with the Note 3. We like that the HTC One M8's speakers are firing towards us, but the audio output is still equally as strong with the Note 3. Video playback is excellent. There's a lot to like here. You have some smooth playbacks, a lot of sharp looking visuals. Though with the Note 3, we prefer its larger size and its more saturated colors. It gives it a more lively look. And on top of that, there's also the neat functionality of actually being able to multitask. So you can output the video on top of whatever you're doing. So you have better multitasking with it. So let's now focus on their cameras. With HTC One M8, it packs the same camera as its predecessor, a 4 megapixel ultra pixel camera which packs an f2.0 aperture lens, a backside illuminated sensor. You have a dual LED flash, but it's very unique for having a secondary rear camera which is used to provide depth information. So when after taking a shot, you can apply different effects, the different duo effects in fact, that really enhances the quality. Well, the Note 3 features a larger 13 megapixel sensor. It has an f2.2 aperture lens. You have a backside illuminated sensor, only a single LED flash though. Quite frankly, folks, the two handsets here are equipped at taking some really sharp looking photos. So when it comes to sharing them via social networking, they're more than sufficient, but you're going to get more flexibility with the Note 3. The biggest advantage to it is that it has superior details. You could actually crop, resize the image more without losing any details, whereas with the Note 3, it's lacking in that area. Under lower lighting situations, we prefer using the HTC One M8, mainly because its shots are significantly brighter than the Note 3. On top of that, it just exposes more some of the details that are otherwise lost. At the end of the day, we'd give the slight edge to the Note 3 when it comes to taking photos just because it's able to actually absorb a lot more details than the HTC One M8. And of course, with that, you're going to gain better flexibility post-shot. So you could crop, you could also zoom into the shot without losing a lot of details. Though the HTC One M8 takes some pretty nice looking nighttime shots. Recording 1080p videos, we prefer using the Note 3 just because its quality is better. You have sharper looking details, you have smoother recording, and on top of that, less motion blur under lower lighting conditions, so we'd go with it over its rival. With call quality, we prefer the excellent performance out of the HTC One M8 just because it's adept in handling a wide array of different conditions, especially noisy environments, just because the volume output through its earpiece and speakerphone is very deafening, very powerful, more so than the Note 3. On top of that, voices have a rich, clear tone to them, whereas with the Note 3, voices tend to have a little bit of a crackly tone to them, and the other end of the line, our callers say that our voice sounds a little bit robotic. The Note 3 puts out a good score in our battery benchmark test. Its larger size 3200 milliamp hour battery was able to achieve a tally of 6 hours 8 minutes from a full charge, but the HTC One M8's smaller 2600 milliamp hour battery provided even longer results. In fact, it put out 7 hours 12 minutes on a full charge. That could be attributed to the smaller size display and of course the newer and more battery optimized processor. In order to pick up this handset, you're going to have to fork over $200 with a 2-year contract with most carriers, while with the Note 3, you're going to have to fork over even more. It's actually $300 with a 2-year contract, and that's despite the fact that it's also been out for quite longer. In terms of outright pricing, the HTC One M8 is attached with a $650 cost, whereas with the Note 3, it's a staggering $725. Normally, it's the newer handset that usually gets the higher price point, but as we've seen in this comparison, it's actually the Note 3, but ultimately, it's a matter of personal preference as to which one you're going to want to side with. Stick with the HTC One M8 if you want to have the savings. On top of that, a more stylish looking handset, a simpler user interface with Sense 6.0, and also the superior battery life and call quality. As for the Note 3, productivity users will really like what it has to offer, especially with all the features in tow with the software. On top of that, it takes the better photos and videos between the two. So if you guys want to learn more about either handsets, you can check out our website, phonearena.com. John V. Thanks for watching.